I don't know. I think it's in this class. Yeah, there it is. And it was sent to me Monday. So we will go over it now because even though the homework is terminated, there's still the test. So I feel like I need to go over it. And yes, this is a test question. And somebody tell me what rule, hold on a second. Somebody tell me what rule we're going to be using here.
Empirical rule.
Empirical rule. Good. I'm glad you called it what it's supposed to be called. Not that stupid thing that they call it in this book. I never heard of that before. And I've been teaching probability and statistics a long time. So let's do this problem. Of course, all of you, well, not all of you, probably, let's see, how many's in here today? 16, 15 of y'all probably haven't done this, but one person probably has. There is the empirical rule, and we're going to fill it out. 80%, I'm at 80, and that's 100, and that's 120, and that's 140. This is 60, this is 40, and this is 20. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 20, 40, yeah. And that takes care of this sentence right here. Normally distributed with a mean of 80 and a standard deviation of 20. When you see that on a test or homework, chances are it means draw the curve. Well, you don't have to draw the curve because you've already got it drawn. There it is. Now we're going to go ahead and fill it out. And yes, I still do this. And I will do it in chapter, oh, well, I don't think I have to do it in chapter 2, but, or unit 2, because we're in probability. But hopefully after I draw this 700, 800 times, when you see it, or when you have to use it on a standardized test, you'll thank me. And that's 95%, and that's considered normal. And then we've got the yellow area, which is unusual. And then you got the red area, which is considered outliers. Now let's answer the questions. I had a student yesterday in my 120 class. You know, we're fixing to wrap it up for unit 1. And the student goes, oh, I get it. So you match up the question with the bottom of the empirical rule. I said, yeah, that's what you do. So a little light went off for one person. The percentage of scores less than 80. So here's 80. So I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to, no, I'm not going to take the ruler because it's not wide enough. I'm going to take another piece of paper, and I'm going to cover up. It says less than 80. So add up those. Now, you shouldn't have to add them up because what is the middle of the curve? What is it representative of? What percent?
50%.
Oh my goodness, somebody said something. Hold on, I'm not used to that. Was that Justin? Justin, thank you. Now you know you're not supposed to talk, or the other students are going to get mad at you.
Oh
yes, 50%. Because 50% is to the left and to the right of the middle line. So yes, 50% is the answer for that first question. So let's go back to the question. If I can get there, 50%. What percentage is greater than 100. Go back. Greater than 100. And somebody add those up for me. And then I had one student that said, what are you adding up? Are you adding up the 100, the 100, the 120, and 140? I said, no, I'm adding up the only numbers on the graph. The 13.5, the 2.35, and the 0.15. Oh. These people want to start a revolution. They can't make a ham sandwich. All right, 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15 is what? 16%. Check it, make sure. I think it's 16%. Yep. And between 40 and 100. So here we go. 40, between 40 and 100. So I got to take my... What are we going to do? We're going to add them up. 34 and 34 is 68. And then 68 plus 13 is, I have no idea, 81.5. What is it? Is it 81.5? I think it is. Yes, Hubert, it is. Thank you, class. Y'all suck. 81.5. Now that is a test question, and it's also a standardized test question, but I can tell you right now that a standardized test is not going to call it 68, 95, 99.7. The standardized test is going to call it the empirical rule. But evidently this book thinks students are too stupid to understand empirical. That's one reason I don't like this book. It thinks that students are idiots. And it dummies down everything from the word empirical to there's some other things it does that I don't like. But anyway, I hope that helps because I think there's at least 3 or 4 questions on the test like that. Somebody verify that. I think there is, right? There's about 3 or 4 questions like that that revolves around the empirical rule. So, good question. And did we do this one? I can't remember if we finished it. I know we started it, but did we do this one the other day? Somebody tell me. I think I broke it up into 2, East Coast and West Coast. Did I do those? I thought we did. Okay. So that one's done. And as far as I'm concerned, that is all of the problems that y'all have sent, and I'm finished with unit 1. Now, unit 2. Let's go ahead and pull up unit 2 and see what we got. Unit 2 is probability. Now I'm going to go to the handy dandy, what do you call it? The handout that I sent y'all. And hopefully it's in here. I think it's in here. I hope it's in here. And I hate to have to keep doing this, but I have to because I guarantee you somebody thinks we're going into critical thinking, and that's not what we're going into because you didn't listen when I told y'all that we were going to do probability. Short section, A, B, C, and E. Okay, so write those down, A, B, C, and E. We're going over 7A, B, C, and E. It's going to go by quick because I'm gonna tell you I spent extra time in unit 1 because of the things that some of the things y'all have never seen before, or some people haven't seen before. But 7A through E, 7A, B, C, and E, we're going to go through pretty quick because most of you have seen probability before. So, and you may not realize that you've seen probability before, but you have. So 7A, I'm just going to use the what you call it as a guide because I usually take off from the I'm trying to click on the mouse and talk, and men can't do that very well. And probability. Okay, write down the outcomes. You don't have to write it down word for word. Okay. What is an outcome? It is the result of an observation or an experiment. That's all you need to write down. So go ahead and write that down. Outcomes are a result of an observation or an experiment. Now, somebody tell me what's an observation and what is the difference between observation and an experiment that we learned in chapter 1/2. Somebody recap on that for me. That means I want you to talk. Come on. Remember an observation? I said it's like a stalker. What does it do?
It just watches.
Just watches, exactly. It just observes. So that would be like a person, I told you, worked for DOT that counts cars. Counts cars at the intersection. That would be an observational study. Versus, somebody that watches cars and shoots out the front tire whenever somebody crosses the intersection. That would be an experiment. Be illegal, but it'd be an experiment. All right, so that's the difference between observation and experiment. An experiment, there is something interjected into the observation. There is some kind of control mechanism. There is something that influences the observation, and that changes it into an experiment. But the outcome is what we call the result. An event consists of one or more outcomes. So write that down, one or more outcomes. Flipping a coin one time, the outcome would be heads. Flipping a coin 10 times, that's an event. So an event would be flipping, they use 2 coins, but I say flip a coin 5 times or 10 times. That would be an event. One or more outcomes. Now, am I going to test you on this? Probably not. But these are 2 standardized test questions that you might want to mark as standardized test questions. Now, before we move on, I'm going to go to the handy dandy whiteboard or paper, and I'm going to ask y'all a question. Have y'all ever gotten behind a vehicle going 35 in a 45 or 55 mile an hour zone or a 55 highway? Okay. And you come to the end of the highway. This happens on Wild Hog Road all the time. If you don't know where Wild Hog Road is, it's the red light right there beside the Waffle House that attaches Pendleton to Anderson, West Anderson. But anyway, it's called 187, but it's not really 187 because 187 is down here near 24. But anyway, I'm not gonna get on that, or 29. But anyway, 187 is called Wild Hog Road, and you get on Wild Hog Road, you can't pass because there's so much traffic on it. Sorry. And you also have to pass because you always get behind the little blue-haired ladies club, which goes 35 miles an hour and never gets off at 35 miles an hour. Anyway, when you get to Pendleton, there is a red light right there. You turn left, and the QT is right there on the right. You turn right, and you go towards Sandy Springs. Uh-oh, Miss Oglesby has a COVID on her hand. All right, so she got the COVID. You might as well forget it, Miss Oglesby. You got it. All right, so if you get behind somebody and you get to a dead end and you say to yourself, this person is going to turn left because I'm going to turn left. What happens? They turn left. Did you just predict the future? Yes or no? That's a yes or no question. Did you just predict the future? Yes or no? Anybody?
Yes.
Well, Miss Ballou, I appreciate you interacting with me, but no, you did not. Okay? I appreciate the answer. You did not predict the future. No one can predict the future. If you ever meet somebody that says they can predict the future, or I can tell you your future, all you got to do is ask them one question. Anybody want to guess what that question is? Ask them one question. Anybody? What are the winning lottery numbers for Friday night's draw? That's not what I do. You're a fraud. Get away from me. Nobody can tell the future. Nobody. So I don't care if you have a cousin or a sister-in-law or an aunt that tells you they can tell the future, they're a fraud. How many of you have ever played 20 questions?
I have.
Tell me, explain to the class, because I guarantee you somebody in here hadn't played it before. Tell them how do you play 20 questions?
You and another person just ask 20 questions in a row just to get to know someone better.
Does that mean that you can read the other person's mind?
No, sir.
Okay, you can't read the other person's mind. Well, how do you win? It's called what? It's called deduction. What does people that tell you they can read your mind or they can tell the future, what are they really doing? They're using 3 or 4 things. How did I predict that the person, I'm going to show you this because I think it's important for you to see this. This is what we call West Anderson. West Anderson, Townville's up here, and like Anderson City is right here. West Anderson is here, and 24 goes this way. That's 24. And then Wild Hog Road, after you pass the double bridges, Wild Hog Road goes all the way up to Pendleton. And the Waffle House is right here, and the QT is right there. All right. You get to about Pendleton High School. Pendleton High School is right here. And you get about a quarter of a mile away from this red light right here. And you say to yourself, well, I know she's going to turn left. And just as soon as I say that, she turns on her left blinker. How did I come up with that? How did I know that? Well, one, I used logic. Oops. I used experience. And in some cases, I would use mathematics. Now, what is the logic and the experience? Well, I used to travel Wild Hog Road for 16 years going to the Pendleton campus when I was at the Pendleton campus. And I can tell you that when you get on that road, you can't pass. So the experience on me tells me that I'm going to get behind somebody. The other thing is, why does anybody use Wild Hog Road? Well, it is the only road besides I-85. I-85 is right up here. That's I-85. Okay. It is the only road besides I-85 that will go toward Clemson or Pendleton. Okay. And people use it, West Anderson right here, because they don't want to go to 85. So you got a lot of traffic here that's going to Pendleton / Clemson. Now, Hubert, wait a minute. You said a while ago that people will go to Sandy Springs. Yes, but if you on Wild Hog Road and you're going to Sandy Springs Anybody tell me why I'm not counting Sandy Springs that knows Wild Hog Road? Anybody in here knows Wild Hog Road very well? Right here, there's a turnoff to go to Sandy Springs. Right here, there's a turnoff. Right about here, there's a turnoff to go to Sandy Springs. And right behind Pendleton High School, there's a turnoff to go to Sandy Springs. So if a person was on Wild Hog Road, this is logic. If a person is on Wild Hog Road and they're going to Sandy Springs, are they going to go to the end of Wild Hog Road to go to Sandy Springs? No. So who is the only people left on Wild Hog Road by the time you get to the end? Where are they going? They're going to Clemson or Pendleton. So did I tell the future, or did I use logic / deduction to say that she was going to turn left? I used logic / deduction. So what I'm trying to tell you with this example and with the example of the 20 questions is nobody can tell the future. I used to have a friend, and she said that she could tell your future with your own dreams. Now I want you to listen to what I just said. Okay, Miss Oglesby, I'm going to tell you what I can do, since you're the only one that'll show your face in the class. I'm going to take your dreams. I want you to write down your dreams, and I will tell your future based on your dreams. Now, somebody tell me what's wrong with that. Somebody. Anybody? Or am I the only one that thinks that's weird? Who's the author of your dreams? Anybody? Okay, nobody's going to work with me, so we'll just go on. Probability. Y'all going to be in an office, and it's going to be like 4 foot wide by 6 foot long, and you're going to have a half a desk, and you're going to have a computer, and nobody's going to talk to you. Probability. Probability, and this is a Hubertism definition, so you're probably not going to see it anywhere else, is assigning, and I don't know if assigning has 2 N's or not. It might. Assigning a number from 0 to 1 to a prediction based on logic, and you could consider deduction, you could consider that, experience, or math. That's what probability is. Did anybody come up with the answer of who is the author of your dreams?
Yourself.
Yourself. So I'm going to take, all right, listen to this. I'm going to take your dreams that you come up with, and I'm going to tell you your future of the dreams based on the dreams that you come up with. I have a problem with that. I mean, I really do. Anyway, assigning, and then the person got mad at me because I said she was crazy, and she got mad at me. So anyway, I mean, think about it. Is anybody with me there or against me on that?
That is crazy.
It is. I mean, I'm going to take something that you come up with, and I'm going to tell you your future. Why don't you just draw a picture? Miss Oglesby, I want you to draw a picture, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to tell you your future based on that picture. Nobody can tell the future.
The palm readings, all that stuff is just,
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
That's like, people believe in the palm readings and like the tarot cards. It's like, don't believe in that.
Okay, let me ask you something on that. When you walk into one of those places, what's the first thing that they start asking? I just told you. What's the first thing they start doing?
I don't know. I've never been, so I
They
wouldn't.
start asking you what?
Questions?
Questions. 20 questions. Everything can go back to 20 questions or deduction. You know else? You know what else? They already know you're probably in some kind of depression. Why? Why do they automatically know that?
Because you're there.
Because you're there. Duh. You know, I mean, anyway, I'm sorry. There's just some things that just, and when somebody comes up to me and says, you start writing down your dreams and I'm going to start telling you your future, I'm going to look at you and say you're crazy. Anyway, maybe it's the mathematician in me, but that's what probability is. All right. Now, I can tell you right now, and this is how I know. I've been messing with cows all my life. And you got a holding pen right here. We call it a holding pen. Sophisticated people, they call it a corral. Okay? But we call it a holding pen. And that's where you vaccinate your cows, you deworm your cows, and it's usually 200 by 100 or 200 by 200. It's small. It's got a chute and a head gate, and that's where you work your cows. And it's usually got a big pasture here, got a smaller pasture, and then you got a big pasture, and then you got another big pasture. And what you want to do, if you got big pastures, you take your cows and you get them in the smaller pasture right here, and then you run them into, from the smaller pasture, big pasture to small pasture. Well, you got 50 to 100 cows out here, and you accidentally, okay, you got two gates. You got a gate right here, and it's open. So I'll draw it open right there. And then there's another gate that's way down here that doesn't go to the holding pen. And we're talking 100 acres here and 100 acres here. And the cows are all up in here. And you start getting them up. Which gate are they going to run toward? Okay, none of y'all grew up on a farm. They always run to the gate that you don't want them to go to. Always. I can put money on it. Now, can I tell the future? No. What did I use? I used experience. I have been dealing with cows all my life. They will always go to the gate that you don't want them to go to. Always. Do they read your mind? I don't know.
You don't want them to go to.
Exactly. They always go to the one that you don't want them to go to. Do you want them to go to this gate because you want them, they'll shoot to this gate in a heartbeat. Anyway, that's not telling the future. That's putting a prediction or number on a prediction or me predicting by experience. And that's what probability is. Now, probability has a general formula. Whether you do, classic probability or if you do theoretical probability. Probability of an event is written like this. Probability of an event is equal to the number of times something happens over the number of times it could happen. Now, there's two types of probability. And you can look in your book. I want you to look in your book to find the pinky name. But there is theoretical probability. Now, you'll have to watch me on theoretical. I always want to put an H in that RHET. And you'll have to check me. I don't know if there's an H there or not. But I always want to put one. Theoretical probability. And then there is what we call physical probability. And I'm trying to spell physical. All right. So is there an H after that R in theoretical? Somebody check me. All right. Since, I done lost you. Who was that was talking to me a while ago besides Justin? Mr. Cone?
You're good. How
You know, I'm
Good.
gonna have to pick on y'all. I'm scared if I pick on Miss Oglesby too much, she's gonna go do away with the video. So I'm not gonna pick on her too much. But Justin or Mr. Cone, one of y'all, what is the probability of getting? Oh my gosh, there's another video. Y'all know y'all starting a trend.
Yes, sir.
These winged on a pickle students are gonna get entirely pissed at you. And you got American flag, you're a racist. All right, theoretical probability. Theoretical probability, Mr. Cone, what is the probability of a king in a deck of cards? What's the probability of picking a king in a deck of cards? Do you have any idea?
4 out of 50
4 out of 50 what?
to pick a king.
52. He tried and he almost got it. Show me your deck of cards that you got in front of you.
I don't have any, sir.
Well, how did you do that?
Because there's 4 kings because of the 4 suits. And I thought there were 50 in the deck, but not 52.
So you just remembered that there's 4 kings in a deck of cards.
Yes, sir.
That's theoretical probability. Theoretical probability is just based on the mental aspect of the deck of cards. You haven't got a deck of cards in front of you, but you found the probability of a king based on the theoretical probability. Whereas the physical probability is you flipping a coin 10 times and getting 7 heads. Therefore, your probability of heads is equal to 7 out of 10, which is equal to 0.7. And I'm sorry about that 0.7, but you can tell it's 0.7. Now, I want everybody to understand that the formula is the same for both. But theoretical is based on what you know. Is there anybody in here that don't know jack about a deck of cards? If there is, then you have to work on that theoretical knowledge of a deck of cards. How many sides of a die are there? A die is one die out of a dice, pair of dice, a die. How many sides are on a pair of dice? I mean, on a die?
6.
It's a cube, 6 sides. I bet some people are going, I didn't know that. Yeah, exactly. 52 cards in a deck of cards, 6 sides to a cube, and of course, 2 sides to a what? To a coin. That is all stuff that you should know about. Now, if you don't know, then you might want to look up a deck of cards and you might want to learn it. Physical probability is what you actually what? Do. Now, somebody look up in your book and see what these two are, but I don't know. I think they call one theoretical, and I don't know what they call the other one. Well, we call one classic and one something else. I don't know. But anyway, let's look and see if the slides will tell us. You can tell how I learn. I learn like I teach. I turn the bullcrap words into words that I know. And let me see if I can find that for you. Should be in here somewhere. There it is. Theoretical. Theoretical. There is not an H. See, I keep trying to put an H right there. And I don't know why I do that. Maybe it's some kind of... I'm looking for I don't see it. I think they call the other classic. There it is. Relative frequency probability. Write that down. Relative frequency probability. So the physical probability is called the relative frequency probability. You see why I turn things into common words? Frequency there. Maybe I need to come up with my own mathematics so I can make big words. No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Kind of like these guys that can't compete with guys, so they drop down and compete with women. Oh, shut up, Hubert. All right, so here we go. Here is the scale from 0 to 1. 0 to 1, there it is. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but you need to know it. Excuse me. Make sure you write this down. Now, why do they have decimals? Because probability is based on decimals, 0 to 1. Why do some people talk about percentages? Well, you can change a decimal into a percentage, but then you go from a decimal being probability to a chance, 50-50 chance. Percent is usually chance. Probability is decimal, so you might want to write that down. I'm going to put that in red. Now, a lot of you saying, was it that important? Yes, because there are some teachers that live, eat, and breathe probability. Have you ever met a psychology teacher or a math teacher that's all they talk about? Well, that's why. Decimal equals probability, and a percent is equal to chance. If you walk into one of these people, you know, the people that I'm talking about, and you say, well, there's a 50% probability, they'll have a conniption and start shaking on the floor. It's like saying ain't in an English class. All right? I don't care what you say in here because I know what you're talking about. It's called common sense. All right? But there are people that teach this stuff, and most of them are in psychology and math, and they teach statistics like 15 days, 364 days out of the year, and they don't teach any other math. They just teach probability. And if you walk into their class and they say, what is the probability that it's going to rain tomorrow? And you say, there's a 50% chance. They'll go, oh. They will have a conniption. So I want you to know that for future reference, okay? If you're talking about decimals, you're talking about probability. So from here on out, you say 0.52 probability or 0.65 probability. You don't say 65% chance. Now, if they say, what chance do I have at winning a, blah, blah, blah tomorrow? Then you say, well, I don't know, but I'd say 50-50, you got a 50% chance. Then that's okay. Depends on the context of the what? The question. Okay, I'll shut up. Y'all get bored. All right, so let's look at the slides. Keep me on task here. And there is an example of a cube, not a cube, but a die. Now, these questions, you remember me telling y'all a while back that probability is not, the statistics and probability is really not based on the math. It's based on you being able to read the question. Yes, I remember that, Hubert.
Right.
No, I don't remember that. I'm not going to answer you because we're going to keep quiet. All right. So with that being said, what is the probability of an even card being picked out of a deck of cards? You've got to think about the even cards. What are the even cards? Well, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, Jack, King, queen. The jack, the king, and the queen are face cards, and they count 10 as 10 if you're playing blackjack. Okay? So all of those are even cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 4, there's 4 suits, is what? So the probability is 32 over 52. Now, I would not have been able to do that if I had not thought, okay, even cards, that would be blah, 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 blah. All right, how about this one? Probability of a face card. Well, that's going to be king, queen, jack times 4 is what?
Would you count an ace in that too, or no?
No, a face card is not an ace.
Yes, sir.
A face card is a 1 or 11. Who said that?
I did.
Mr. Cohn?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're a loser. All right, you don't know cards, so you might as well forget it. That's okay. I'm a veteran, so I'm a terrorist and a racist. So. And that gets nothing, no response. I could say anything in here, and y'all wouldn't say a word, would you?
Are you on the no flight list?
What?
Wait, are you? Wait, you said you're a terrorist?
Oh yeah, you didn't hear that? If you're a veteran or a police officer, that means you support white supremacy and you're a terrorist.
Especially if you're a Trump supporter too.
Yeah. Oh, if you're a Trump supporter, you're the Antichrist. All right. Let's go something else. How about the probability of a 7 on a die? This question is actually on a standardized test, and it's on my test. What is the probability of a 7 on a die?
0.
Good job. There ain't no 7 on a die. There ain't none. Okay? There's not a 7 on a die. What is the probability of a 0 on a die?
0.
0. Those two questions are on standardized test and test questions. All right? So you got to read the question. Any questions about, and this is all theoretical. I don't have a die in front of me. I don't have a deck of cards in front of me. So this is all theoretical. Okay, this is what we call a sample space. Write this down. This box right here. Okay, assuming a couple is wanting to have 4 children, what is the possible outcomes? Now, there's a reason I want you to write this down, this box right here. And I'd put it somewhere, you know, because somewhere by itself, because you need to make an index card with this. You okay, Mr. Cone? You take medicine this morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
My biology reopened my homework, so I'm happy.
Okay, work on your other homework while you're listening to me. That's fine. That's just my feelings. That's okay. I'll put smokestacks on my pickup truck, and that'll make me feel better about myself. All right. Go ahead and write that down. Or I'll wear sunglasses in the building. Girls, those two things, run the other direction
What kind of
as
truck
fast as you can. What?
What kind of truck do you have?
I got a Dodge 3500 dually 4-wheel drive.
Oh, nice.
It's the good kind, 2003 through 2006.
Ooh.
I tried to find another one, but I can't find one less than $15,000. I ought to sell mine and buy me a piece of crap Chevrolet. Bow ties, what we used to call them, because they're good for going to town. Bow ties. Hook them up to a gooseneck and they just sit there. I'm a Ford and Dodge guy. I was telling my son yesterday that I grew up on this farm that I live on, and I've never seen a Chevy that can pull their weight on a farm. I just haven't. Maybe they've changed. I don't know. But I've never seen a Chevy pull their weight on a farm. They've always...
It's a big landscaping company, so he has all Dodges, and I have a Ford. Then my dad just ordered a new F-350.
Yep. Now, Ford went through a bad era when they tried that 6.0.
Oh, yeah, that was horrible.
That thing wouldn't pull off of asphalt.
Well,
I mean, it wouldn't do anything. They messed up. But anyway.
Well, it had a horrible engine problem. My dad had 2 of them in POS.
You still can't beat the 7.3. You still can't beat it. The 7.3 and the 5.9 in Dodge, you can't beat either one of them.
My dad had a 7.3 in his old dump truck, and that thing is a beast.
Yeah. All right, now I'm going to show you something else. I'm going to go back to this, so don't have a conniption, okay? All right, I'm going to come back to it. I'll let you have a few more seconds to write down. I want you to do several index cards for the test. This is one of them. I want you to do 2 and 3 children. And this is 4. Because it helps you to already have it written down versus try to remember it. Uh-oh. See, I told you he'd leave. Oh, it's time for class to be over. But I want you to go to Google and pull up 2 children, and you call it sample space, and hit images, and you'll find it in there, and then do 3 children. And I want you to put that, here it is right here. Here's one. Well, you just have to look it up. We'll go over it. Y'all got to go. Have a good day. I've already taken the roll, and I will see y'all. I don't know what today is. I'll see y'all Friday. Okay?
Thank you. Have a good day.
And thank you, Mr. Cone and Miss Oglesby, for sharing y'all's bright faces this morning. Thank you.
Yes,
Makes
sir.
class a whole lot better.
Thank you.